You know, we never really talked about Ohio. Um, that's where your husband was from, right?
Yes, that's where he was
That's
from.
that's where he
Well,
grew up on a farm in Ohio.
he grew up on a farm. I never met his father. His father was dead, and his mother was in the process when I met him. And the first time I ever got to go out there with him, his mother was in the process of getting rid of the farm because she had nobody to run it.
Hmm.
Because he was one of 7 children, and they were all married, living elsewhere.
Yeah. So, what town in Ohio was he from?
Several of them.
Oh, yes.
Several.
And you know, I'm from Ohio.
You are from Ohio?
Mhm.
What part?
Millersburg is the town, Holmes County, where all the Amish people are.
I don't ever remember hearing of that town.
Hmm. That's middle of nowhere.
He had a sister living in Chillicothe. She was married to a minister. And then he had another sister who lived in Columbus. And another sister who lived in Washington, D.C. Her husband was with the Navy. And he had a brother that was a no account, let's put it that way, the youngest one. He was married and had trouble with his wife and pushed the kid. They had one son, and he got pushed around from pillar to post. I felt so sorry for the poor kid.
Mm.
And one year we went out to visit his mother, and coming back way, I said to his youngest brother's wife, she was working and trying to take care of this little kid. He was about O'Queen's age. I said, would you like to come out for a visit to New York with us? And I said, you can stay with us, you know, whatever length of time you can to get from your job, because she was working. And I said, we'll put you on a bus to send you home so that you get to see a little bit of New York. And I think they stayed with us a couple of weeks, and we took them to the zoo, the Bronx Zoo, and on the ferry ride, and to Radio City, and, you know, places like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they enjoyed it so much. I felt so sorry for her. And then the war was on, so he signed up with the war, so he was in Germany and everywhere else. But she finally divorced him. And but he gave his mother a hard time too. And then I remember my husband's mother tried to talk me into persuading my husband to go to Ohio, back to live, to help her, because he was helping her all along. And I said no. I was very honest with her. I said if he didn't want to leave Ohio, he wouldn't have gone. But I said he told me he didn't like farm work and he didn't want to live on a farm.
Mm-hmm.
So I said I wouldn't think of persuading him. Her and I got along very well. I had no trouble getting along with her. And she was a very nice person. And I had her come out to New York a couple times and visit with us. We took her around to, you know, to see things and everything. And she was a nice person. She died very young. She was only in her 60s when she died.
Mm-hmm.
And her husband, of course, I never knew him. And as I said, I always got along with people. I never had any trouble, so
Mm-hmm.
I got along with all the family. Some of them, I could admire. Some of them I could just, I never criticized them, but I just didn't make buddy friends with them. I'm very honest about that.
Mm-hmm.
But my husband got along with my family very well. Got
Yeah.
along with all of them.
So, what caused your husband to move to New York in the first place?
I don't know. Oh, he had a brother living in, where was he living? I think someplace in Jersey. I don't remember the details back then. Because when I met them, they were living uptown in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And he left Ohio to get a job in Pittsburgh. And I don't know what he did there. I think he probably worked in a restaurant, because that seemed to be was the only thing that, he knew anything about that he could work at. And he told me afterwards that his brother persuaded him to come to New York, and he stayed with his brother for a while. And what he did then, I don't know whether that was when he started working with the restaurant. I don't remember if I ever questioned him about it or whether I didn't. But when he got a job in a restaurant, he moved. His brother only had a one-bedroom apartment, which meant he had to sleep on the couch in the living room. So he was working with some people who lived at this residential hotel, which was close to the restaurant, and that's how he happened to leave his brother. And it was an older brother of his, quite a bit older than him. I think it was about. He was the brother that we lived with was the oldest in the family, and my husband was around from 7 children. He was like the 4th in the family, so there was several years difference between them. And his brother died very young. He was only in his 40s. He died with a brain hemorrhage, and they never had any children. So when his brother had passed away, I don't remember what year that was. Oakland was little when he passed away. She was just a baby. His wife went back to Iowa to live with her father because he had a hotel, and that's where he met her. And that's, you know, she had no knowledge of how to support herself, but she could go back and help her father run the hotel, and that's what she did. So we went out there a couple of times to visit her, and she died. I think she died after my husband died, or in around the same time. She lived up into her 90s. My husband was 80 when he passed away.
So getting back to you, your jobs that you had, you worked at Macy's. What years?
Oakland was probably 8 or so. And I don't remember what. Mainly, I think I wanted to get out of the house. And the doctor told me years ago, shortly after she was born, I'd probably never have children, any more children. Just wasn't built to have them. That was the excuse she gave me. And I never worried about it. I would have liked to have more family, but I didn't.